back. You keep waiting for someone to choose you, to see your potential, to fix your life. But here's the truth, no one is coming. The person you're waiting for is you once you decide to stop waiting and start becoming. The version of you that you admire, respect, and chase. They're not ahead of you. They're buried underneath your excuses, waiting for you to move. We spend so much of our lives waiting for someone to show up and change everything. We imagine that person who will finally believe in us, support us back, or pull us out of the hole we've dug ourselves into. It's comforting to think that help is coming, that maybe a mentor, a friend, or a partner will see potential in us that we don't yet see in ourselves back. But waiting keeps you small. It keeps you dependent. It convinces you that your life is on pause until someone else decides you're ready. The truth is, nobody is coming to save you back. The person you've been waiting for, the one who shows up, follows through, and refuses to quit is already within you, waiting for permission to take charge. When you stop waiting for someone to rescue you back, you start realizing how much power you've been handing away. You've outsourced your confidence, your motivation, even your happiness to other people's validation. You tell yourself you'll act when someone believes in you, but belief doesn't work that way. It grows through action, not approval. The moment you start keeping the promises you make to yourself back, you stop needing external proof. You realize that no one can hand you self-worth. You build it by doing what you said you would do. That's the moment you stop begging life to change and start creating change yourself back. That's when responsibility turns into freedom. The transformation begins when you understand that personal responsibility isn't a punishment, it's power. Most people confuse accountability with guilt back, as if taking ownership of their life means admitting failure. But accountability is the opposite of shame. It's the act of reclaiming control. When you say, it's my fault, what you're really saying is, it's within my power to fix. The problem isn't that life is unfair. It's that you've been waiting for fairness instead of building resilience. The more you own your circumstances, the less you fear them back. You can't change what you won't claim. And when you finally claim it all, your mistakes, your wins, your choices, that's when growth becomes inevitable back. The hardest part about becoming the person you're looking for is realizing how much of your old identity you'll have to let go of. We hold on to our weaknesses because they justify our inaction back. It's easier to say, I can't, than to admit, I won't. You build excuses like armor and call them reasons. But every excuse is a small betrayal to the future you want to live in. Back, the new version of you can't grow in the same soul of self-pity. To evolve, you must stop identifying with the version of yourself that feels powerless. Back. You must start identifying with the version that acts even when it doesn't feel ready. Change doesn't come from feeling different, it comes from behaving differently. Real shift happens when you replace emotional dependency with self-trust. Instead of looking for motivation from others, you create momentum through discipline. Instead of seeking validation, back, you find clarity and consistency. Self-trust is built in silence, when no one's watching, when no one's clapping, when no one's checking in. Every time you do what needs to be done, even when it's uncomfortable, back, you strengthen that internal belief that you can handle whatever comes next. That belief is unshakable because it's earned. And once you learn to rely on yourself, back, you stop needing to chase people who don't show up for you because you've already learned how to show up for yourself. Every version of growth comes with pain, but that pain is not punishment. It's feedback. Get back. The discomfort you feel when you're alone, unsure, or scared isn't a sign that you're failing. It's a sign that you're evolving. The person you're becoming is forged in moments of isolation. Back. When you realize that your future is your responsibility. Growth requires honesty, and honesty requires courage. You have to look at where you've been lying to yourself, where you've lowered your standards, back, avoided decisions, or settled for less than you deserve. That's the only way to rebuild your life from a place of truth instead of illusion. Back. The person you're looking for doesn't complain about what they can't control. They focus on what they can. They don't spend their energy convincing others of their worth. Back. They invest it in proving it to themselves. They don't wait for opportunities to appear. They create them. That's what separates dreamers from doers. Dreamers talk about potential. Doers take messy, back, imperfect action toward it. Every time you move even slightly toward your goals, you collect evidence that you're capable. And over time, those small actions compound into unshakable confidence. Back, you stop chasing the image of success and start becoming someone who naturally attracts it. Becoming that person means redefining what success even looks like. It's no longer about external achievements. It's about internal alignment. Success becomes the byproduct of living in integrity with your values. You stop caring about applause and start caring about progress. You realize that peace isn't found in the absence of struggle, but in the presence of purpose. Every day you choose discipline over distraction, clarity over comfort, and responsibility over excuses. You step closer to that version of you that others can rely on, but more importantly, that you can rely on. When you start building that version of yourself, the world begins to respond differently. Back, opportunities appear where hesitation used to live. People begin to treat you with the same respect you now give yourself. It's not magic, it's alignment. When your words match your actions back, when your intentions match your effort, the world mirrors it back. You attract what you embody. You stop needing to prove and start simply being. That shift is where real transformation begins. Back, it's where you stop waiting to be chosen and finally choose yourself. Everyone wants to achieve more, but very few are willing to do the unseen, repetitive work that greatness demands. It's easy to be motivated when eyes are on you, but true growth happens in silence, when there's no applause, no validation, and no instant result to keep you going. That's where character is built, in the late nights, early mornings, and small choices that no one will ever know about. Most people quit not because they lack ambition, but because they get bored before they get results. Consistency feels boring because it lacks drama, yet that's exactly what makes it powerful. It's in the mundane repetition of small actions that transformation quietly takes root. You don't need more motivation, you need more commitment to the process when motivation disappears. The person you're looking for, the confident, disciplined, focused version of you, is born in the silence of consistent effort, not the noise of external praise. When you start building character, you realize it's not about talent or intelligence, it's about endurance. Talent may open the door, but character is what keeps it open. Character shows up when everything in you wants to quit, but you keep going anyway. It's when no one's watching and you still do the right thing. It's when you choose discipline over convenience. These aren't big, glamorous decisions. They're small, quiet, daily ones that slowly build integrity. Integrity isn't something you post about. It's something you practice when it's inconvenient. Every time you keep a promise to yourself, you strengthen that internal muscle. That's why you don't rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your standards. If your standards are weak, take it back. Your results will always be fragile. We often underestimate how much our daily habits reflect who we really are. You can talk about discipline all day, but your habits tell the truth. You can post quotes about consistency, but your actions expose whether you're living them. The gap between who you are and who you want to be is measured by what you do every single day when nobody is paying attention. You can't fake consistency. The evidence is in your results. Every skipped workout, every delayed project, every ignored goal compounds just as powerfully as every disciplined choice. It's not about perfection. It's about stacking small wins that move you closer to your identity as someone who follows through. The goal isn't to impress others. It's to become unshakable in your own self-respect. The hardest part of consistency is realizing that no one is coming to congratulate you. There's no standing ovation for keeping your promises, no celebration for saying no to distractions, and no instant gratification for doing what's right. That's why most people stop. They're addicted to recognition, not results. You must learn to find satisfaction in the process itself, to take pride in the quiet progress that no one sees. The more you detach your effort from external reward, the stronger you become internally. The reward isn't in being seen, it's in becoming someone who can rely on themselves. That's the power of unseen work. It builds a foundation that no failure can shake and no critic can take away. When you commit to showing up regardless of how you feel, you separate yourself from 99% of people. Feelings are temporary, standards are permanent. You can't wait until you feel inspired to act because inspiration is unreliable. You have to move even when it's uncomfortable. That's what separates the professional from the amateur. The professional shows up out of commitment, not emotion. When you operate from commitment, you no longer need to negotiate with your excuses. You do what needs to be done because it aligns with who you said you wanted to become. That's where true identity shift happens. Not in the dream, but in the discipline. Every act of follow through rewires your mind to believe that you are someone who delivers. Most people think discipline is about restriction, but it's actually about freedom. Take it back. Discipline frees you from the chaos of inconsistency. It frees you from regret, from the weight of unkept promises, and from the endless cycle of starting over. It gives you structure, clarity, and direction. When you live by discipline, your emotions stop dictating your actions. You gain control over your time, your habits, and your future. You stop reacting to life and start creating it. Freedom doesn't come from doing whatever you want. It comes from doing what's required to build the life you want. That's the paradox most people miss. Discipline isn't limitation, it's liberation. There's a version of you who has already mastered this, but you'll never meet them if you keep giving up halfway. That version of you exists on the other side of boredom, fatigue, and frustration. The repetition that feels dull is the training ground for excellence. Every time you stick with the process, you're building resilience that will serve you when things get harder, and they will get harder. But the more you endure, the more your threshold for discomfort expands. The stronger your threshold, the more unstoppable you become. Growth doesn't happen because it's easy. It happens because you refuse to quit when it's not. That refusal is what forges character that can't be broken. When you build character through unseen work, people start noticing without you saying a word. They feel the difference in your energy, your presence, your consistency. You no longer have to prove yourself because your actions speak for you. You attract trust, respect, and opportunities because people can sense integrity. You don't need to tell them you're reliable. They already know. That's what happens when your private standards are higher than your public image. Back, the world rewards people who live in alignment, even if it takes time for it to show. True success is quiet because it doesn't need validation to exist. Every choice you make is a brick in the foundation of your character. The question is, are you building something solid or something temporary? The easy choices build comfort, the hard choices build confidence. Back, the hard way is the right way more often than not because it demands sacrifice, patience, and self-control. Those are the raw materials of strength. Back. The people you admire didn't become who they are by chance. They became that way by repetition, by doing the hard things so often that they became normal. You can do the same back, but only if you're willing to stop performing discipline and start living it. Character is who you are when no one is there to applaud you. And that's exactly where real success is born. Emotional maturity is not something you're born with. It's something you earn through self-awareness, accountability, and restraint. Most people think success is about intelligence or strategy. But real success depends on how well you can manage yourself when things don't go your way. The person you're looking for isn't controlled by emotions. They control them. They don't let anger make their choices or fear dictate their next move. They pause, they process, and they respond from clarity instead of chaos. It's not about suppressing emotions. It's about mastering them so they serve you instead of sabotage you. Emotional maturity is choosing growth over comfort, logic over impulse, and purpose over ego. It's what separates reactive people from resilient ones. Emotional maturity begins when you stop needing everything around you to change so you can feel okay. You learn that peace doesn't come from fixing the world. It comes from managing yourself within it. When something goes wrong, you stop asking, why me? And start asking, what is this trying to teach me? That shift in perspective turns pain into information. Every uncomfortable emotion, anger, jealousy, frustration, insecurity, is a signal pointing to something inside you that needs attention. Instead of running from it or blaming others, maturity means sitting with it long enough to understand it. Growth happens the moment you stop fighting your emotions and start learning from them. The difference between emotional strength and emotional weakness lies in reaction time. Weakness reacts instantly, without thought, without pause, without understanding the consequences. Strength waits. It observes. It allows space between trigger and response. That space is where wisdom lives. You can't control what happens to you, but you can always control how you respond, and that single choice determines everything. When you react, you give your power away. When you respond, you reclaim it back. The strongest people aren't those who never feel anger or fear. They're the ones who can feel it fully and still choose discipline over chaos. That's real power, not dominance. One of the clearest signs of emotional immaturity is taking everything personally. Not every disagreement is an attack. Not every criticism is rejection. Not every silence is judgment. When you start viewing feedback as information instead of insult, you grow faster. The emotionally mature person understands that feedback is not about worth, it's about opportunity. They can separate who they are from what they do. They know that being wrong doesn't make them less valuable, it makes them human. The more you detach your identity from your ego, the easier it becomes to improve without resistance. Ego wants to protect you from pain. Maturity helps you grow through it. Learning to handle failure with grace is another layer of emotional maturity. Most people crumble when things don't go as planned because they attach their self-worth to outcomes. But the person you're looking for doesn't fall apart when plans fail. They adjust. They understand that failure is feedback, not final. Instead of seeing it as a reflection of who they are, they see it as data to refine their approach. Every failure becomes fuel. Every setback becomes strategy. Emotional maturity means holding space for disappointment without drowning in it. It means knowing that your feelings are valid but temporary, and your direction doesn't have to change just because your emotions fluctuate. Emotional maturity also transforms how you handle success. Immature people use success to feed their ego, while mature people use it to expand their impact. The more grounded you become, the less success changes your character. You don't start believing you're above others. You start recognizing your responsibility to help others rise. True confidence doesn't scream, it stays calm, humble, and focused. When you're emotionally mature, you no longer need validation to feel valuable. You move from proving yourself to improving yourself. Success stops being about comparison and becomes about contribution. You realize that the real win is peace, not applause. Relationships are where emotional maturity is tested most. The person you're looking for doesn't argue to win. They communicate to understand. They don't avoid hard conversations. They face them with empathy and clarity. They take ownership of their mistakes without defensiveness and apologize without conditions. They can love deeply without losing themselves, and they can set boundaries without guilt. They understand that respect is built through consistency, not control. Emotional maturity in relationships isn't about being perfect. It's about being aware, accountable, and willing to grow together. You attract healthier relationships when you become emotionally healthy yourself. Being emotionally mature doesn't mean you never feel overwhelmed. It means you've learned to regulate yourself when you are. You've built tools, reflection, journaling, breathwork, solitude, perspective, it back. You don't escape your emotions through distraction or denial. You process them and then move forward with intention. This level of self-management is rare because it requires patience, humility, and practice. Back. But it's what gives you calm in chaos, confidence under pressure, and composure in uncertainty. The world doesn't get easier. You just become stronger. That's the hidden reward of emotional maturity. Back. It's internal stability in an unstable world. As you grow emotionally, you begin to see how your inner world shapes your outer world. Every reaction, every decision, back. Every pattern in your life traces back to your ability to manage yourself. If your inner world is chaotic, your outer world will always reflect it. That's why transformation starts with emotional regulation. Back. The person you're looking for doesn't wait for perfect circumstances to feel grounded. They create that state from within. They understand that peace is a practice, not a condition. And the more they practice it, back, the more they attract opportunities, relationships, and success that match their inner stability. That's when you stop chasing calm and start becoming it. Back. Becoming the person you're looking for requires one uncomfortable truth. You can't evolve and stay the same. You can't build a stronger version of yourself while clinging to the old habits, fears, it back, and patterns that kept you safe but small. Growth demands that you let go of the parts of you that no longer serve your future. It means outgrowing environments that encourage your comfort instead of your potential. It means saying no to things that once felt good but now feel limiting. Most people want change until they realize change requires loss, the loss of familiarity, approval, and predictability. Back. But that loss is not punishment, it's the space growth needs to take root. The person you're becoming cannot breathe in the atmosphere of who you used to be. It back. You'll notice as you grow that not everyone will understand it. Some people will see your transformation as arrogance, some will call it distance, and some will quietly drift away. That's okay. Back. Growth threatens the people who benefit from your stagnation. The more you evolve, the more you'll recognize who truly supports your progress versus who only tolerated your old version. It back. Outgrowing people doesn't mean you've become better than them. It means you've stopped shrinking to stay relatable. You're not meant to fit where you've already outgrown. Back. The person you're becoming is not for everyone, and that realization frees you from the need to be universally liked. You don't owe anyone your old self to make them comfortable. Back. Transformation begins with honesty, the kind of honesty that requires you to face yourself without flinching. You can't build a new life on top of the same excuses. You can't step into your next level while still defending your limitations. The old version of you was built for survival. The new one is built for purpose. Survival says, I'll do what I have to do to get by. Purpose says, I'll do what I'm meant to do to grow. That's a turning point where you stop being driven by fear and start being guided by vision. It back. Growth will demand brutal honesty about your habits, your beliefs, and your environment. It will ask you to choose alignment over attachment, even when it's uncomfortable. Back. You'll realize that becoming that person is less about adding more and more about removing what doesn't belong. You don't need to become someone else. Back. You need to shed everything that's been blocking who you already are. You'll unlearn patterns of self-doubt, overthinking, and people-pleasing. Back. You'll stop settling for temporary comfort that costs you long-term peace. Growth is subtraction before it's addition. The more you strip away the noise, the clearer your direction becomes. It back. And as your life simplifies, your power amplifies. You start trusting your instincts more, questioning less, and moving with a quiet confidence that doesn't need to announce itself. It back. That's the clarity that comes from alignment. But this process is not painless. Growth hurts because it breaks the illusion of who you thought you were. It back. You'll have moments when you miss the old you. The one who didn't know better, who didn't feel this pressure to evolve, who could stay comfortable without guilt. That's normal. You're mourning the identity that once protected you. But you'll soon realize that your old self wasn't safety. It was stagnation disguised as comfort. Growth isn't supposed to feel safe. Back. It's supposed to feel uncertain. That uncertainty is the sign that you're finally stepping into unfamiliar territory, which is where every new version of you is born. Back. The fear you feel is proof that you're expanding. The person you're looking for doesn't wait for motivation. They create momentum. They act without needing to feel ready. They don't depend on perfect timing. Back. They depend on consistent effort. They don't let fear dictate their pace or perfectionism delay their progress. They've learned that confidence is a result of doing, not thinking. Every time you show up for yourself, back, even when you don't feel like it, you strengthen your identity as someone who follows through. You stop identifying as the person who tries and start seeing yourself as the person who executes. Back. The gap between where you are and who you want to be is filled with daily discipline. That's how you earn your transformation. Growth also means rewriting your relationship with failure. The person you're becoming doesn't see mistakes as evidence of inadequacy. They see them as data, as direction. They use failure as feedback and move forward faster because of it. You can't evolve without stumbling. Back. And you can't master anything you're afraid to fail at. Every version of success you admire was built on a foundation of failed attempts, refined lessons, and persistent courage. Back. Failure isn't the opposite of growth. It's the requirement for it. Once you stop fearing failure, you start experimenting more, and that's where innovation begins. You become unstoppable not because you don't fail, but because failure no longer controls your identity. There will come a point when you realize that growth doesn't mean constant progress, it means constant alignment. Some seasons are about building, others are about resting, reflecting, and realigning back. The person you're becoming doesn't rush the process because they understand that transformation takes time. You can't fast track character. You can't shortcut self-awareness. Back, you can't skip the seasons of confusion that refine your clarity. Growth isn't linear, it's layered. Each version of you prepares the next one. You'll revisit lessons you thought you mastered back, not because you failed, but because life is deepening your understanding. The more patient you become with the process, the more permanent your progress becomes. Becoming that person ultimately means returning to yourself, the truest, highest version that existed before fear, judgment, and self-doubt got in the way. It's not about becoming someone new back. It's about remembering who you were meant to be all along. You stop chasing validation and start living from conviction. You stop seeking permission and start walking in purpose. Back. You stop trying to prove your worth and start embodying it. The person you're looking for is not out there somewhere waiting to be found. They're within you, waiting for you to act. Back. Every decision you make either feeds your future or fuels your fear. Choose the one that brings you closer to peace, to authenticity, to freedom. So when you ask how to become the person you're looking for, back. Remember this, it's not a question of becoming. It's a question of unbecoming everything that's not aligned with who you truly are. It's about choosing growth over comfort, truth over illusion, back, and consistency over perfection. You'll lose people, you'll outgrow versions of yourself, and you'll face moments where the path feels lonely. But that's the cost of evolution. And that cost is worth paying back, because the person you're becoming is worth everything you're leaving behind. Growth is not a destination, it's a daily choice, a commitment to your potential, and a promise to never stop becoming.